make sure to watch the whole thing or else you might keep losing hands battles that you should be winning. So in order to understand the anticipation patterns I'm going to show you later, you have to have the right technique like Ben does, because if you don't have the right technique, it's going to be really hard for you to react quickly because your paddle's never going to be in the optimal location. Your body's never going to be in the optimal location. So what is the optimal location for your paddle? So to start off, let's go over Ben's ready position. So Ben's ready position is a little bit lower than most players. So ready position is how you wait for the average ball. So if the average ball is coming from in front of me, I'm going to be waiting like this, right? A lot of players are up here to have their paddle higher. Maybe the tip is between their eyes. Ben holds his lower, and the reason for that is against very high level players, they hit the ball really hard when they speed up and they go really close to the net. So for Ben, the optimal location that's closest to where he's going to need to react is just above the height of the net, which is probably this high. So he's holding it, it looks more relaxed, but he just has it lower because he knows that his opponents can keep the ball lower. So this is the optimal position for him to react from. And from here, he can go to backhand, he can go to his forehand very quickly. And in this position, he's not holding his paddle too far away from him or too close from him. His elbow is slightly in front of his stomach, which gives him the ability to counter. So his backswings are really compact, but he has the ability to go very far with his paddle to generate power. So you don't want to be too far away because then you're going to have to take too big of a backswing. And if you're too close, you're just going to be jammed. So you want your elbow a little in front of your stomach. This is kind of the golden spot to be to hit good counters. The other thing he does very well is interesting. So watch me right now in this rally. Look at my head. See how I'm keeping my head perfectly level? A lot of players, when they're at the kitchen, they look like this. They're kind of all over the place. A lot of the time they're jumping when the ball comes at them. They almost like dodge it. Ben, when he's in a hands battle, he looks almost completely still with his head, which as you can imagine, has a lot of benefits for your reaction time. One being when you're jumping, it's probably just harder to time a fastball coming at you. The other, when you're staying steady, it's easier to hit a clean returning shot on a really fast ball. So you want to make sure when you're up here and you're moving side to side, you do what you can to make sure that your head is very still. You're not going to have to move side to side so much up here, right? You're only covering 10 feet, so don't overcomplicate it and add so many steps, and it's going to be a lot easier to make use of the patterns that I'm about to show you. So what you'll notice in terms of these anticipation tricks is that pro players, and Ben Johns especially, do a very good job of understanding what will happen on the next shot based on the shot that they hit. So usually it involves the first few shots of a fast hands exchange. And what they do is they hit the ball in a specific way where it creates a higher likelihood that it will come back to one side of their body. So that's what I'm going to show you. One thing I wanted to mention before that though is because hands battles are so important for high level pickleball, and they're honestly important for every level of pickleball, pro players are generally choosing more poppy and powerful paddles than they were in the past. And the reason for that is when you're in a hands battle, it's a lot easier to have a good counterattack or a good speed up with a poppier paddle because it doesn't require as much effort. So you can actually swing less and hit a harder shot, which actually increases your reaction time. So it doesn't just make your counters better, it actually makes you faster because you don't have to do so much to hit a good counter. So if you're looking for a poppier paddle, you might have more of a control paddle right now. Highly recommend checking out our new paddle, the Gen 4.5. This is a first generation foam paddle, but it's really one of the first foam paddles that actually gives you good pop and good power. So if you haven't used a poppy paddle before, when you try this, it feels way, way easier to hit a good counter attack. So if your opponent hits it at you, you really just need like a little bit of a jab and you're gonna get a ton of power and you can end the point. The one downside is with a poppier paddle, it might be harder to control your soft game, but you can get used to this, right? You just have to, take shorter swings and get a little bit better at controlling your soft game. More pro players though are choosing paddles like this because the benefits of having more pop on a counterattack or in a hands battle sort of outweighs having extreme control with your soft game. You need to be able to, end points with power in the modern era of pickleball. So if you want a paddle that's going to give you that advantage, head to our site now, check out the Gen 4.5, and use code FOAM to get $20 off and make it the most affordable foam paddle on the market. So in terms of the anticipation tricks I'm going to show you, what they have to do with is generally the first few shots of the rally. So what we're predicting based on the first few shots of the rally where the ball is going to go. So this has to do with when you're the one speeding up. So if I'm the one speeding up, I can predict where my opponent's going to hit their counter based on where I hit the ball. And if your opponent is the one speeding up, there's some tricks you can also use to predict where they're going to hit their speed up so that you can counter faster. So there's a very common trick you might have heard of that Ben uses a lot and he uses it very effectively, and it's called the triangle effect or the triangle rule. So what this essentially concept means is when I hit a speed up on my opponent or any sort of, fast volley, cross body, so let's say I'm going from my forehand to Drew's forehand, there's a very high likelihood if I hit this shot, he's going to hit the counter to this side of my body. So what that looks like is this. I hit a speed up to Drew's forehand, I can almost predict that he's going to hit it to my backhand. So when Ben uses this, it looks like this, you're ready for that backhand. So what you can do to prepare faster is after you hit the speed up, you can just shift over your ready position a little bit. So like this, you can also think in your head, I kind of know that he might hit to my backhand. But the problem is you don't know 100% that he's going to do this. They're not always going to follow the pattern. So if I hit the speed up to Drew's forehand, he might go back to my forehand. And if I'm just waiting here, then I'm not ready for that shot. So to run through this pattern in the right way, you can go for your speed up cross body, probably best towards their chicken wing. This probably works better on the forehand side. Shift your ready position a little bit. So if you normally have it right here, maybe go right here after the shot. And then in your head, you're thinking, okay, I kind of know he's gonna hit me a backhand, but you're not so far over and you're not so overly committed that you can't get to the forehand too. Let's say it's 70% likelihood that he's gonna hit here. So okay, we're gonna sort of assume this, but we need to be ready for this one as well. So this play, guys, works on both sides. You can do it on the backhand as well. I think the forehand's more common though, because you can get right into the person's chicken wing, so you can jam them. I guess if they're lefty, it probably would work better on the backhand side. And you can do this on both the left side and the right side. Ben almost always plays the left side, so all the examples of him doing this are on this left side where he's sort of from the middle. He goes cross body, and then a lot of the time he kills that next shot. So give this a try. It works pretty well. Let me know in the comments if you've tried it. I'm curious if it works for you because, like I said, it doesn't work every time. It's just a good way to increase your hand speed because you're anticipating what your opponents are going to do. So the reason why you can predict a lot of the time up here what your opponents are going to do is because when you hit a speed up at them or a fastball, a lot of the time they're going to hit the ball late. So let's say Drew was to hit a speed up to my backhand right now, and I hit the ball late. So hitting the ball late means you're hitting it farther back, right? Hitting the ball early would be you're hitting it farther forward. So because it's coming at me so fast, I don't have that much time to react, so I'm hitting the ball a little bit late. And when I do this, it's more likely that my paddle is going to be facing this way. So a lot of the time you can also use sort of this concept that your opponents are reacting late to predict where they're going to hit the ball. So I actually got Ben on video saying that when you speed up down the line, so from this position, a lot of the time what happens is your opponent hits it back down the line. So that's another pattern that you can follow. If you speed up right at your opponent, a lot of the time it's going to be coming straight back at you because they don't have enough time to get their paddle in position to hit it the other way. Obviously, it's not going to happen 100% of the time, but this is another pattern you can use. So whether you're in Drew's position on the right side or my position on the left side, what you can do is you can speed up here and sort of wait. So if I'm speeding up off my backhand, what I can do is go down the line and just wait more so for a backhand to come back. So similar to what we do with the triangle effect for going from the forehand side. Here, if I speed up down the line, I can wait more so for that down the line ball to come back to me. I can also cover my whole body with my backhand here, and that gives me the ability to react faster and take advantage of that next middle, and he'll go down the middle. And when you do this, if the right side player hits the ball, so let's say they have that backhand in the middle, if they hit it, there's a likelihood they might hit it right back towards you because they might hit it late. So if I go down the middle, you can kind of predict that your opponent is going to hit right back at you because they might not be able to get to this gap here because they don't have the ability to get their paddle in position in enough time. If I hit it to the left side player, he might hit it late, which actually might make it come more so to this side of my body. So if I go to his forehand, he might hit me like that, where I can be more ready for my backhand. Also, if you're hitting it to the right side player, guys, they might hit it late and hit it to your partner too. So that's another scenario. Obviously, your partner should be thinking about these scenarios as well so that they can react faster too. You're not always going to be the only one hitting in fast hands exchanges. And guys, these are not going to be happening 100% of the time. Let me know in the comments if you have any patterns you like to work. There's a lot of different ways you can make use of this sort of thought process. So comment below if you have any combos that work well for you. And remember, this doesn't work 100% of the time. You just kind of have the ability to predict a little bit better where the shots are going to go so you can react faster. All right, guys, now we're going to cover how you can predict what your opponent's going to do when they're the ones that are speeding up. Before I show you that though, if you've been liking these tips so far, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Right now we're trying to become the first channel in pickleball to reach 500,000 subscribers. So if you want to help us make history, hit the subscribe button and also hit the thumbs up button while you're down there. But in terms of when your opponent's the one speeding up, there's not as much you can do to predict where they're going to go. There are a few tricks I'm going to show you later, but one thing you can predict very well is when they're going to speed up. So there's a few things that we call tells that sort of help you predict when they're going to go from dinking to hitting a fastball. The first one is their backswing. So if you see that your opponent has a big backswing, let's say they're normally dinking like this, they just sort of have their paddle out in front, then all of a sudden they take a big backswing, right? Or maybe just a slightly larger backswing. You can probably predict they're about to go hard, which you can get ready for in a number of different ways. The next thing that they do that can help you predict if they're going to hit a harder shot is sometimes players get like right behind the ball. So they get more behind the ball, whereas when you're dinking, you can kind of cup around it more like this. You don't necessarily need to be directly behind the ball every time. But when they're hitting a speed up, some players will position themselves differently. So they don't know that they're doing this, but they might just subconsciously do something a little different with their feet. So you can kind of get alerted by that to react to their speed up that's about to come at you. Also, a lot of players just speed up on their forehand side. So if they have a forehand, you can be more ready for it. What you should be considering though is whenever your opponent is hitting a dink, you want to be kind of expecting a speed up because dinks come super slow. So if my opponent's going to dink, I don't need to be that ready for it. I have a lot of time to react. But if they're going to hit a speed up, I do need to be ready for it. So you always want to be expecting internally that your opponent's going to hit a speed up on that shot. You don't want to be shocked that they come at you super fast because they might just hit a speed up to you at a random time that you're not expecting. So you need to be ready for that so that when it does come, you're ready to counterattack. Never expect them to hit a dink. You can always react to a dink late. You need to always expect them to hit a speed up. So once you see that you think they're going to hit a speed up, there's two things that you can do. The first is you can just dodge the ball. A lot of opponents, if they go for a speed up, hit it way too hard. So you can just sort of shift out of the way and react and let the ball sail along like that. You see a lot of pros letting speed ups sail along. The next thing you can do is similar to what we're doing with our patterns. You can predict where they're going to hit the ball based on where the speed up is. So now I'm going to show you exactly how you can do that based off where they're hitting the speed up from. So the easiest way to predict this is if your opponent's cross from you. So if they're not in front of you, it's a lot easier to predict where they could possibly go. If my opponent's here, a lot of the time Ben's in the middle like this, right? If he has a speed up from this position, he can't hit it at that much of an angle because if he hits it hard at too much of an angle, it's going to go out past the sideline. So if I'm here and my opponent's here, I can safely assume if he's going to hit it really hard, it's going to be probably going more so to the right side of my body. So what I can do is I can be really ready for that kind of speed up. So even there, he sort of jammed me a little bit, but I'm ready for my forehand because I know he's probably coming to that side of my body. So you'll see Ben a lot of the time, he's right here. He's so ready to crack a forehand counterattack when his opponent is speeding up from the middle in this position. So when your opponent's across from you, you can kind of shift towards where they're standing because you know that they can't hit super hard at that much of an angle. And if he goes for a dink cross court, obviously I can react to it because he's not going to hit that dink very hard. And on the other side, I can do the opposite. So I know my opponent's across from me and he has something more in the middle. I can favor my backhand because he can't hit that ball hard really towards this direction. So I can sort of shift this way. This side's even better because I can cover my body better with my backhand too. So even if he comes at me, I'm fully ready to be hitting a backhand. So it's very common, even if your opponent is in the middle, even if it's the right side player hitting from like right here, he can't go that hard at me from the middle towards my forehand side. So I can favor my backhand. That will let me react a lot faster. When your opponent's right in front of you, it's a little bit harder to predict what they're going to do. If they have a shot that's directly in front of you, he can go pretty hard towards my backhand and towards my forehand if he's hitting the ball from right there. But there is a few tricks that actually still work. So if he's hitting, let's say, a forehand speed up, what I can do is I can shift a little bit. And you see a lot of players doing this on this side, especially the right side, because my partner's probably squishing more towards the middle if he's hitting a ball here. So I can shift more towards here and make it more likely that I hit my backhand counter attack. If I'm standing right here, Drew can go more easily towards my right side and he has a lot of space to hit that speed up. But if I start to shift over this way, he can still try to target that, but it's higher likely that I'm gonna hit a backhand, and I can pretty much cover this with my backhand regardless of where he hits it. So even if he hits it right at my body, I can hit a good counterattack with my backhand. So Ben never really plays right side, but when he played with his brother Colin, he was very known for doing this, squishing to this side and kind of just countering everything with his backhand. So it's a very good tactic to do this on the right side if the left side opponent is going to speed up from right in front of you. On this side, guys, if your opponents have a forehand speed up, you can do the same thing. You can kind of shift over and favor your backhand. They might try to go down the line, so you're just waiting for that, right? The main thing though to keep in mind is that you need to understand what your opponents are going to do. You need to understand their tendencies. Everyone has different targets that they like to aim for, so you can use, there's a lot more information than just where they're standing that you can use to predict what they're going to do. And guys, as a hands battle progresses, it becomes more chaotic and harder to predict. The one thing that you want to keep in mind and that Ben does extremely well is as the rally progresses, if you're taking control, you want to go more and more at their feet. So if I'm in a hands battle, the first thing I want to be thinking is, can I get it at my opponent's feet? I hit that ball, it actually hit Drew's shoe. That's like the perfect counter attack. You're not gonna always be able to do that because of the angle that you have. If it's too low, you can't hit it that far down. But if you're taking control and they're backing up, you need to start going harder and harder at their feet. Ben does a very good job of getting a ton of power and spin right at their feet so that they can't get back into the hands exchange. All right guys, thanks for watching. And remember, if you need a Poppier paddle, make sure to go check out the Gen 4.5.